And we are live, everyone, for a new episode of the Electrek podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by Seth Wintram. How are you doing today, Seth?
I'm good.
All right, I hope you are, because we have plenty to talk about this week, and a lot of non-Tesla stuff, which should make a lot of our readers happy with things that sometimes we talk a little bit too much about Tesla, which is fair, even though, like we like to say, they still own the North American market when it comes to EVs. So that's why we spend a lot of time on them. But this week we have a lot of other things because it's also like the earnings week for Rivian and um, Lucid and a few other automakers. So we're going to discuss that. I'm just going to share my screen with you guys so that you can see what's happening. There you go. Okay. Come on.
It's there.
It's there. Perfect. All right. But we're still going to start out with some Tesla news. The first one is going to be the Tesla Model 3 performance. So we had a lot of indication lately that the Model 3 Highland performance version is coming soon. At least it's being tested out in the US by Tesla. So for those who don't remember, when Tesla launched the Island last year in Asia and Europe, it was only the base rear-wheel drive version and the long-range dual drive, a dual motor version, not the performance version. It was gone. In the US when it was launched last month, same thing. There's still some Model 3 Performance 2023 out there available for sale in new inventory. It's actually a pretty good deal if you're not on board with the refreshed. It might be a good option for you. It's pretty cheap right now. So it's something to think about. But we probably going to lose even more value when the new version comes out, though we don't know exactly what's going to be new in the new version in terms of performance, but we know that there's going to be hardware changes, which is quite new for the Model 3 Performance at Tesla. For a long time, the Model 3 Performance and even like the Model S Performance or Plaid or Ludicrous, whatever it was, whenever it was, it was pretty much the same car with like you slap a spoiler on it, bigger brakes, bigger calipers, and that's it. Like you unlock some software capability in the car, a higher top speed, higher acceleration, but the actual powertrain were in a lot of these versions the same. There was a few times with Tesla had different things involved, like a better suspension or not necessarily better, but more aggressive suspension. There was at one point also like the Ludicrous Model S had like a bigger conductor between the battery pack and the motor. But for most of the time lately, the performance version and the long-range dual motor version were basically the same car in terms of hardware. Now, the engineering test vehicles, so Tesla actually writes engineering test vehicle on those now that were spotted, still have camouflage on the front. So, and based on the camouflage, if you look at the front lip here, I have a closer look here, looks updated. It looks like it's not the same as the front bumper on the refresh version, which is already new from the older version, but it's, again, another one. And now what's even more interesting on this one that was spotted is that we see these bucket seats in there. So that's something that was first revealed by Green, the notorious Tesla hacker. It was in the app update a few months ago where you could see some what Tesla calls sports seats. So now it indicates that the Model 3 Performance will have both interior changes and exterior changes. So it's getting us excited. Maybe Tesla is planning something big for the Model 3 Performance, and it has also potential further improvements to the performance of the car. Tesla is going to try to beat the 0 to 60 acceleration of 3.1 seconds for the previous Model 3 Performance.
Which
you
is
excited for
crazy
the Model 3 Performance set?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not going to be a roadster level, but certainly a great small car. I honestly believe that the Model 3 is the best Tesla for driving. I think nothing beats it. And I've had all the Teslas besides the Cybertruck and the original Roadster. So can only get better, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume so. Tesla really doesn't go backwards when it comes to improving its vehicles. And I agree with you completely, like that Model 3 Performance. I mean, I had one since 2018. It's super fun car to drive. I would agree, more fun than the Model S because it's lighter, it's more nimble, easier to park too. So for the performance version, like this might be like, I guess I know who's excited about this. Our friends at Unplugged Performance, I'm sure they're excited about that. They love when there's a new top version of a Tesla vehicle that comes out, and I'm sure plenty of people are going to want to get upgrades for this. All right, this is going to be a shock for some people, but I'm going to say some good things about FSD Beta right now. So we still don't have the wide release of FSD Beta V12. For those people that don't know, the V12 is supposedly another mind-blowing update, according to Elon Musk, to the FSD Beta, even though he said that like 8 times about 8 of the 12 updates so far, and it's never been very mind-blowing to me. But this V12 is supposed to be better because it's supposed to introduce end-to-end neural nets. So now the vehicle controls are also powered by neural nets instead of being hard-coded by programmers. It was supposed to be wide release last year. It's been delayed a few times. Last month, it was released to a few customers, but really just a handful. This week, it reached a little bit more people, but not that many more. It's still not a wide release. So, but one of these new people is a guy going by Arthur from X on X, and he got it in his Model 3 or Model Y, I'm not so sure. And he posted this video that I found kind of impressive. Let me show you real quick here. I don't know if I can. Do you see it like that? Yeah, you see it like that. I'll cut up the sound and I'll fast forward a bit because the interesting part. So the guy. Oh no, that's fast forwarding a little bit too much. I'll go from here. So the guy puts an alley, a random location in an alley in Sacramento in the car, and you see the car right now driving up to that alley. On the left, the car is going to take a left. Not too complicated. There's not a lot of traffic. It just goes into the alley right now. But the point of the location here is at the end of the alley. And normally what the car would do, right, is what it's doing right now, though it's driving a little bit slowly. It makes sense. There's another car. It's an alley. There's no clear lines of where you can drive. But it would drive up to the alley to the point where it's written in the map to the specific address or where you drop the pin. And then it would stop right about now, would be normal where it stops. But instead of stopping, the car slows down, continues a little bit, and then this is where things get interesting. Instead of stopping in the middle of the alley like it would usually do with FSD Beta, it continues, and then look at the navigation system. It updates itself right now, and it goes, it does a drive around the block. So Arthur obviously is like, what's happening? Why didn't it stop? Why is it going right on the block? And then we're going to fast forward to that right around the block. But then it goes back here in the alley. And then instead of going all the way to the point this time, because it knows there's nowhere to park at that point, it stops right here where there's parking. Like that. And I was like, you reach your destination safely.
I'm pretty slow.
Sorry. This is pretty cool. I think this is pretty cool because what it shows like the car is basically like thinking where it's like, all right, I'm arriving at my destination. I'm going to get as close as I can. And then I need to find a safe place to stop. Couldn't find it. Did a round around the block and then parked earlier than the point, which would be like what a human would do really in this situation. So this is pretty cool. Like if this is really like neural nets deciding that and not actually being programmed into the car, you gotta admit this is impressive. Now, it's not level 4, it's not level 5, self-driving, anything like that. If the car would have hit the curb while trying to park, Arthur would have been fully responsible for it. Unfortunately, Tesla's not taking any responsibility. But still, I thought that this was something noteworthy, a little bit encouraging for V12. Do you agree, Seth?
Yeah, I mean, that particular example is certainly that way. I hate to say this, but I don't trust people with the blue check marks always. That I feel like
I have a blue check mark.
I know you though. So I don't know. I need to see it myself. Why not give it to, if it's this good, then why not give it to everybody? The version I have right now is not great. So how bad could this be?
I mean, I've been saying what we really need is the data. It's actual data to see improvement with disengagement per mile and all that. And Tesla is unfortunately not releasing that. So even even if you had it and you experienced it, even that is not good enough. I mean, like, even if we were doing it, you get V12 and we do an episode and Seth comes back. Seth has been notoriously not very positive about FSD beta. Come back and like, it's incredible. It's still not as good as actual data. It's still anecdotal, and Tesla is not releasing data. It's annoying as hell. Cybertruck, we have, speaking of anecdotal evidence, we have some anecdotal evidence that the Cybertruck production is ramping up. There was a large fleet that was spotted at Gigafactory Texas. So as we noted, speaking of Tesla being opaque with its data, they've done something that we didn't appreciate with the latest delivery release last quarter. They're not only not splitting up Cybertruck deliveries, they are including it in Model S, X, and Tesla Semi all together. So we have no idea like how any of these programs are doing overall. So Tesla is basically not releasing Cybertruck production right now or deliveries. So the best indication that we have right now is these flyovers like John Tegmeyer has been doing over Gigafactory Texas in Austin. And the last one was encouraging. That was on Wednesday. There were over 100 trucks spotted at the staging area for delivery, for shipping, with more trucks coming out of the factory. Then yesterday, same thing, by the way. It was over 100 trucks spotted yesterday too, with some already going out too. So it would show. I don't think we can say that it's 100 per day or something like that just yet. Like that would be a little bit too early to say. But it is encouraging, and it looks like it's at least a few hundreds per week right now, which is good. We also have seen more people getting confirmation of like VIN numbers for deliveries, more deliveries every week too. So it's still hard to gauge where Cybertruck production is right now, and also it can be up and down. Also, keep note of that. But it is encouraging. I mean, I would assume right now it could be probably in the high hundreds to a few thousand Cybertrucks already on the road, and Tesla could deliver soon. Like maybe I would think the end of this quarter, they might achieve 1,000 a week, really. You think that's too optimistic, Seth?
I don't know. I mean, that seems reasonable. There's certainly quite a few out there. Have you seen one in the wild yet? I guess they're not really in Canada too much.
No, not in Canada.
I have not seen one yet in the wild up here in Vermont, but I was also in New York.
I think it's still mostly California and Texas right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've all the ones we've kind of reported on have been in that area. So I don't know. Like, it seems like they're ramping up. I always question, like, why doesn't Tesla just, tell us how many they're selling? Like, what's the big secret? It's not like, I mean, if Ford found out, like, what is Ford going to do differently?
Yeah, that has been the thing that has been used, but not really by Elon. I've heard Elon say that once or twice, but it's mainly like Tesla fans pushing that. Like the reason why we don't push, why Tesla doesn't release information, it's because it could be used, even if it's true information, it could be used by naysayers to attack Tesla. Funny enough, that's the same logic that Twitter used in the Twitter files that Elon exposed. Like when Twitter like justified like censoring true information, they said it was instead of misinformation, it was malinformation. That it's true information, but that could be used for bad things.
Right.
So yeah. Elon exposed that, was very proud of exposing that, but he uses the same logic for Tesla stuff. Yeah, there's no reason. I mean, Tesla is very opaque with its information. It's not transparent with its shareholders, and it should be. There's no reason not to. Like, that's not. I'm not a Tesla hater for saying that. It's just like basic logic, really.
Yeah, and then you have to go through different, like insurance companies and Cox Automotive and like all these other like not great sources of information, and then you're kind of guessing, and then you're going on data that might be skewed. Just why not just put it out there? Jeez.
Yeah. One more thing on the Cybertruck real quick is this real-world test of the Wade mode. So we talked about Wade mode before. When Tesla started marketing the Cybertruck, Elon talked about the Cybertruck being waterproof and being able to be used as a boat and go across rivers, especially the river across the South Padre Island in Texas, between the SpaceX Starbase and South Padre Island in Texas, which is about 360 meters, 1,000 feet across. It's not quite there. Like it's not the first time that he's talked about Tesla vehicle being waterproof and being able to use it as a boat. And Elon and especially Tesla influencers have been very happy to share like video of Tesla vehicle going out through some significantly deep waters and coming out seemingly unscathed on the other side. And I always have an issue with that, promoting that stuff, because if you actually look at the Tesla warranty, it says that if something happened after the fact, that you're voided. So it's not something that we should encourage. If Tesla shouldn't promote it if they don't warranty for it. Now I thought maybe the Cybertruck is going to be better because they have the wade mode, which is that it can go through water and it pressurizes the battery pack and raise the ride height to the maximum so that you can more easily go through water with it. But now that someone actually tested it, it's I don't Tech Racks, I think. Sorry, I forgot the guy's name. I should credit him for this because he probably ruins his Cybertruck with it. Tech Racks is his name. All right, so he went through a few of these.
So in this video,
putting the sound off and it doesn't working. These big puddles of water there in Texas, and the first one was pretty easy. It's not a big one, but the other two were quite deep. Like you have this image here that I shared. Oh, I didn't. It's not in there. Water was on the top here. Can you see a significant amount of water? Though the guy was driving way too fast in that water, it created this pressure wave in the front. You obviously you don't want that. If you shouldn't go through water if you can avoid it. If you have to, go super slow because you don't want to create this pressure wave. Like the water goes like just a little bit higher than a bumper, maybe, and now it goes all the way over the windshield. It makes no sense. Don't do that. Now, but what I found interesting is that no, even the Cybertruck and the wade mode, it's still not warranty if something happened to it. When you activate wade mode, you had to activate off-road mode, and in the off-road mode, Tesla says that damage to the vehicle while off-roading is not covered under warranty. And then when you switch to wade mode, same thing happened. It says at your own risk, and they give you some parameters to try to be safe, but it's still not covered because you're off-roading technically. Even if the water puddle is on the road, you don't have a big argument because you switch to off-road mode, and when you switch to off-road mode, you'd assume that you're off-roading and it's off-warranty in it. So not a bad look. But the guy went through that water a few times, and the Cybertruck was able to go through quite easily, so that's good, but not without issue because there's two plastic parts that came apart, one on the bumper, one in the wheel well, though he was able to snap those back quite easily, so no big deal there. But also the buttons on the bed that allows you to open the tonneau covers and the tailgate, they stop working after the fact. So not without damage, really. Okay, moving on from Cybertruck. Oh, this I thought was pretty cool. It might sound like small news, but when I started doing the math, I'm like, this is actually a good example of how impactful Tesla can be at its current scale. So for those that are avid user of Sentry Mode, you know that it's quite power hungry. Like it consumes a lot of power. That adds a lot to the vampire drain. Tesla, for those who don't know, the vampire drain is what we call the energy use that you have when the car is parked. So your car is parked, it still use some energy, whether it is from the computers on board when you ping them with the app, or the battery conditioning. Sometimes, depending on the temperature, the battery thermal management system will kick in. So there's some energy if you leave your car without driving it for long times, without being plugged in, it will lose some power that we call vampire drain. Now, Sentry Mode, if you add that to that, it contributes a lot to the vampire drain, like several times more. And some people did the math on it, and they calculated that if you leave, like if you leave your car parked all day, like 24 hours, and you leave Sentry Mode on, and for those, I should explain Sentry Mode real quick. Sentry Mode is the Tesla use all the autopilot cameras around the car to survey your vehicle and to basically record everything that's happening around it, and to use an alarm system if there's some suspicious activity, like someone like messing with your car. This was introduced when there was like an epidemic of people keying cars in San Francisco, keying Tesla vehicles and all that. So it was used for that. It was very good at deterring that. But so a lot of people use that regularly. If you park your car at work and you are in an area that you're not comfortable with, you turn that on, and it's great for your ease of mind. But it does consume a lot of power. For 24 hours of use, it consumes about 7.2 kilowatt hours of energy, which is a lot. It's basically 10% of your battery if you have a long range Model 3 or Model Y. It's a lot. So Drew Baglino, Tesla's SVP of Powertrain and Energy Engineering, was asked about that this week on X, and he said, agreed, Sentry Mode power consumption needs improvement. The team is working to reduce by 40% in a Q2 software update. So Tesla is preparing to release a software update next quarter that could slash power usage of Sentry Mode by 40%, as much as 40%. So I did the math real quick with the 7.2 at the scale Tesla has. So obviously, I don't actually have data on Sentry Mode usage. So I'm going to use a complete guess. It could be a lot more than that, could be a lot less than that. But we know there's about 5 million Tesla vehicles on the road right now. It's a lot. Like, it's a huge scale. So if you can make improvements, it can have a big impact. This is an OTA software update. Let's say that 1 million vehicles use Sentry Mode regularly, and they use it about an average of 24 hours per week, just to have a nice round number. It would need 7 gigawatt hour of energy used per week for Sentry Mode across Tesla's fleet. It's massive. It's huge, just for Sentry Mode. So you slash that by 40%, you just save 2.8 gigawatt hour of power. That's all the carbon production from that gone. The cost of that gone. Like, energy is not necessarily cheap. I did like an average of like 15 cents per kilowatt hour, which I think is probably low. Would save $420,000 per week. Elon would like that number probably. So I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a great example of like the scale, the impact that Tesla can have at the current scale, and that scale is just growing, of course.
You know, one of our commenters who is perhaps a glass half empty, Carl in San Diego, says, found it ironic that years after Elon Musk, who according to himself has done more for the environment than anyone else, introduced a 7.2 kilowatt hour per day electrical waste on Sentry Mode, is finally fixing it. So if you look at it that way, Tesla introduced a huge electrical burden on the world, 7.2 kilowatt hours a day per car, and they just fixed it now rather than.
It's a bit of a cynical way to look at it. Like Tesla kind of like, it was a great solution when Tesla came up with it, because people don't remember, like, it was an epidemic back then. Like, there was like every week there was people like showing images of their car being keyed for no reason, and it did help. Like, it caught like a bunch of people who made the news, so it became a deterrent. So it was a great solution. Like, yeah, maybe they should have addressed that sooner. Maybe it's not that big of a problem. Maybe I'm completely way off with 1 million people using it. Maybe it's like 100,000 people. I don't know.
By the way, you know who invented that, right?
That was that you?
That was me.
That's right. I remember now. You did mention it to Elon. I did remember that now. You're right.
Yeah, I came up with that, and then I called it "Don't Mess with Teslas," and 2 years later it came, and obviously.
Yeah. I remember that now. Yeah. There was a cool moment too with me with the Sentry Mode. Do you remember that? I went eating with my friends one night, and there was a guy that parked his manual car right behind the Tesla in a hill, and then when he went to leave, his car like rolled forward and went to an inch of the Tesla vehicle. So now he didn't want to get in his car anymore, because he was afraid of, like, he couldn't do the trick with the. Or I think his handbrake didn't work that well too. So he was like scared of like doing it again. So me and my friend went and pushed his car up the hill while he was reversing, so it doesn't hit the Tesla. And the Sentry Mode on the guy was on, but like no one touched his car. His car was fine. Like, we were successful. So I thought, like, there's no way he's gonna check out. I went behind his camera. I was like, all good like that. But I thought there was no way he was gonna check it, because it wasn't a super busy street, so probably you got like 1,000 alert that night. And
Right.
if I go back to my car and nothing is happening on my car, I'm not going to check all the footage. But the guy actually checked it out and then posted it to Reddit. And then someone recognized me on Reddit. It's like, I think that's because the guy was like, what's happening? I don't know what they're doing with my car behind. So I was able to explain the guy what happened to his car. Small world. All right, let's go with Rivian quarters that they posted their earnings for Q4. And it was not great. It was not a good quarter for Rivian. The main thing that we are looking at with Rivian is gross margin, obviously. So they are selling their vehicle at a loss right now as they ramp up production. And they had like a crazy bad gross margin. I think it was like minus 138% at one point. I don't have it posted here. So they were like losing like like 1.5 car per, like the price of 1.5 car was like what they're selling a car. And they've slashed that dramatically over the last year, down to 36% gross margin in Q3. But then last quarter, they were less deliveries. They changed the deal with Amazon too. Like now the percentage of vehicle they're delivering to Amazon is much smaller. And it affected the gross margin significantly, where now they are way up again at minus 46%, like 46% in negative gross margin. So it went up 10 point quarters to quarters. And people were not happy with that. And once the stock crashed like 15% overnight, and then another 10% today, and now it's on the all-time low. So I generated 1.3 billion in revenue in Q4 on just short of 14,000 deliveries. So the full year is 4.4 billion, which is pretty cool, up 167% from last year. They are losing still $606 million a quarter. That's not just loss per vehicle. It's also they are like expanding their service and then sales infrastructure, their chargers and all that. So it's going to be a lot of money going out either way. But yeah, gross margin minus 46%, down from 36 last quarter, but still up from last year. Okay, we don't have last year there. So now they're losing $43,000 per vehicle. That's a lot of cash. Loss from operation was 600 million. Net loss for the quarter was 1.58 each. Ouch. But they still have $9.3 billion cash on hand. So technically, they're still good for a while. And they still guide. So that with the first quarter, last quarter of the year done, they are guiding for 2024. And they're guiding for a modest gross profit. So they plan to turn positive in the fourth quarter of this year. So last year they did guide positive gross margin in 2024, but not for the whole year. And now they say it's only going to be for the fourth quarter. So this is still this is the heart of the battle here. It's the positive gross margin, and going for minus 46%, losing $43,000 per car to $0 or $1 per car. Is not easy to do, especially that they are reducing their prices. Like they are launching like cheaper versions of the vehicle and all that. So it's going to be a hard thing to do. Not impossible, but hard to do.
So hear me out on this one. I feel like Rivian wants to get profitable in the fourth quarter. Obviously, that's what they promised. They've been pretty good about not breaking their promises overall.
Gross margin, sorry to correct you, but it's gross margin that they're still going to be losing money in Q4, though.
Right. So, but they want to get to that in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
It's possible that they could be sandbagging this quarter and probably next quarter, so that they can show a profit in the fourth quarter. If they take a bunch of losses on some stuff and do some accounting stuff, theoretically then they can show that they're profitable in the fourth quarter if they take some of the losses now. I know generally approved accounting procedures aren't, that tight, but like I think that Rivian really wants to make the fourth quarter look really good. So I feel like they're taking the hits now. I mean, they're dropping 10% of their staff as well. They announced
we should
layoffs.
mention that. Yeah.
So it's not for fun that they're doing this, but I think that they really want to kind of get to that point.
No, for sure, 10% of the staff being off is going to help. But again, they are aiming for positive gross margin on the vehicles in Q4, not being profitable. So I don't know how much they can maybe like do. I don't know if they account for credits like emission credits in the cost. I don't think so, or if it's just going to affect the overall profits. Because they could do that. They could stack up on credit for emissions and sell all of those in Q4 to other automakers that need it.
Or just account for that at the end of the year.
Yeah. So that could be, but again, I think we need to see like actual costs go way down for Rivian.
Yeah, I wonder why they're having problems. I mean, the demand's still there, at least for the R1S. They did lower the prices a little bit, but not incredibly. Like, why would each car cost more to make now than it did last quarter or the quarter before? Doesn't really make sense.
They did say that they have the most popular vehicle for over $70,000 now, which I looked it up quickly and I couldn't dispute it, so it looks correct, which is pretty impressive. Like it's basically what Tesla did. Like they're following a similar trajectory as Tesla with the Model S and X. With these, like these are pretty good numbers, especially since they're just North America too.
And do you think that's what wound up Elon a little bit? Elon's been kind of on I wouldn't say tirade on Twitter X. He's more like pointing out some scary facts about Rivian's, move to, roadmap to profitability. So, is Elon pissed off at Rivian, or is he, theoretically trying to help Rivian?
I mean, trying to help Rivian. I don't. That sounds like a stretch. I think Elon is on a mood lately that he attacks his rivals. Compared to like he has an AI company is trashing all the other AIs. Like you could argue that he has legitimate criticism of those, but it's also just like they are his competitors and he's trashing them. And now he's telling people Rivian's gonna go bankrupt. He said the same thing about Lucid. So Lucid also had a terrible quarter, to be fair. Don't need to go into the details of it, but yeah, it's a similar situation as Rivian, just a little bit worse. And that was a weird one. Elon also commented on the Lucid, and he said the only reason they're still alive is because they have their Saudi sugar daddy that's backing them, which I thought was a weird comment coming from a guy that tried to sell Tesla to the Saudis a few years ago in his take private deal, and he's partner with the Saudis on Twitter. Like he had them roll over their shares. He didn't buy the Saudis out when he went private with Twitter. Saudis kept 5%, 10% of the company, whatever it is.
Yeah, Twitter's the Saudi sugar daddy, or Saudis are the Twitter sugar daddy. Yeah.
Mm. So I wouldn't be careful if I was Elon with that. When I posted that too, some of his defenders, he's like, we're nerds that keep defending Elon when they have no business to, claim that Elon was pro Saudis back then when Tesla did the deal. Was trying to do the deal with Tesla, but then they killed the journalists.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, and then he backed away from it. Like, jeez, you put a timeline completely wrong, first of all, and why is he still in business with them with Twitter? Like, come on,
it's so weird.
Oh man, that's where that's why I say now, like I resisted that for years, calling the Elon fans a cult, but when they are willing to do like misinformation like that, it's like, yeah, that's very culty. All right. This is bad news here, and it is something that we were dreading for a little bit, but we knew was coming. Legacy automakers are starting to do some major pullbacks on their EV plan. Mercedes announced this week that so before that, their plan at Mercedes was starting from 2025 onwards, they will only release all electric vehicles. They would still sell ICE vehicles, combustion engine vehicles, but they wouldn't release new ones. Only new models would be electric, which we applaud them for. I think it was the right move. Now they are backtracking on that this week. They say that they're going to release ICE cars well into the next decade, so well into the 2030s. Bad move, in my opinion. It's a little bit short-sighted.
Yep.
I think they're going to have a tough time. Like well, to be fair, also I think they screwed up a little bit with some of their EV programs right now. Like I think some of their cars are not on par with their internal combustion versions. They were a little bit late too with that in terms of like they were still using bodies from their ICE cars to do EVs just a few years ago. Now they've invested a lot more with the EQC being pretty cool, like QS too. But you could make the argument that some of those are just not. They seem to be a little bit off from like the Mercedes ethos, we know Mercedes as being like one of the top brands in luxury, and it seems that some of their EVs are like a little notch below that. So it doesn't help them, but it's also super useful now for them to like, hey, we're not selling that well, so we need to backtrack on those plans. It's like, yeah, you're not selling that well because maybe you're not on par with the rest of the market when it comes to your EVs. And now you're going to set yourself up to fail next decade.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. You know, a lot of the it's not just Mercedes, Ford, GM. You know, they say like, well, we're kind of late to the EV party, so we're gonna actually just be even later to the party. And well, why not just invest more, build the best EVs, and take the future instead of getting the scraps of what's left over and still selling ICE cars in the 2030s. That seems kind of nuts to me.
Yeah, I mean, even like trying to predict like 2030s is the world is moving so fast these days, like, and it's clearly moving the electric ways. So they're calling it ICE tactical flexibility. So that's something that the German have been very pushing hard too. I've heard BMW talked a lot about that too, where they're like, yeah, we're being conservative in our approach, but we're very flexible. So we're making ICE vehicle program, but we can switch quickly to electric if we have to. But I really need to see that happening, because if you look at the volume numbers now, I mean, you have GM this week like being super proud of making 200 to 300,000 BEVs in 2024.
Yeah,
where I thought like based on how they were talking in 2016, I thought they would be there in 2018.
Yeah, and they said they were going to pass Tesla and all the other stuff.
Yeah, by 2018 or something like that. That's why I'm still long Tesla. That's why I still a big supporter of Tesla, despite my issues with the company and with Elon Musk. Is like Tesla is never going to backtrack. There's nothing to backtrack to. There's no They are all in on EVs, and you cannot trust the legacy automakers not to backtrack. As soon as the economics get a little bit hard, as soon as the demand is not really there, not necessarily because there's no demand for BEVs, but because the economics is harder right now with the interest rates, with the uncertainty in the economy, inflation.
There's also a lot of
through the roof.
misinformation out there. Like if you're on Facebook, you see so many like weird bots or whatever talking about how, batteries are exploding, or you need to replace your batteries after 2 years, or just like crazy stuff that, very easy to debunk. But like, most of the world is not terribly, versed on EVs. So a lot of the stuff gets believed, and, people don't want EVs.
And you have Joe Rogan, who is probably like the biggest media on the planet right now. I love a lot of his stuff, but he's not super educated on electric vehicle. And he had this one guy on the podcast at one point that had a big impact on him, which, to be fair, the guy is a pretty good journalist, and he was focusing on the cobalt situation in Congo, which can be very awful. Like it's not. No one wants to look at child labor, slave labor, or near slavery labor, whatever you want to call it. And then he keeps hammering now. Every chance he he talks about, hey, all these electric vehicles have cobalt in there, and then you encourage people in the Congo and everything like that, which is not. It's a little bit more complicated than that. First of all, you have most of the EVs being produced today are LFP-based batteries, which don't have cobalt in there. Right. If you're concerned about cobalt, don't use a phone because all your phones have a lot more cobalt per capita than your batteries in a car. Like it's everything that needs super high energy density, like a phone, like small electronics, have cobalt. There's still cobalt in some cars. I'm not going to lie. Obviously, my car has cobalt, but it's also not all cobalt that it's mined by slavery. It's near slave labor or child labor, obviously, too. Most companies try to avoid that. All right. But I'm sure that has an impact because Joe Rogan is massive. We're gonna have a few more news items to discuss, and then we're gonna jump into you guys' comments. So if you guys have questions for us about either what we discussed today or any other topics in the EV world, you can put it in the comments right now, and I'll get to it in a few seconds. Mustang Mach-E just got some very nice discounts, some price cuts across the entire lineup in Canada and in the US. We're going to focus on US pricing, but similar price cuts in Canada too. Sorry. Between $3,000 and $8,000 price cut. So now the Select rear-wheel drive, the base version, starts at only basically $40,000 at $3,000 price cut. You can get the extended range premium rear-wheel drive, so the longer version that you can, longest range version that you can get went from $54,000 to $46,000, an $8,000 price cut, so that's massive. And then you have again $4,000 and $7,000 price cuts across the entire lineup. Even the GT version now costs just $57,400. So this is pretty cool. Ford is obviously feeling it. The Mach-E competes obviously with the Model Y, and Tesla has cut the price extensively on the vehicle, so they just have to keep up. It's the price war at play.
And they don't. The Mach-E is because it's made in Mexico, but it's made with overseas cells. They only get half of the federal tax credit, I believe.
Yeah. No.
Is it full?
Well, that's the lease. Yeah, the lease. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can get around that if you get the lease versions. Yeah. Such a weird loophole.
I know.
Like, was it? It had to be on purpose. Otherwise, like it's just too dumb to be not on purpose, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if you're betting on the government not being dumb, though, like
you lose that one
probably
every time.
Losing. Yeah. All right, the ID.7 Tourer is Tourer. Is that how you call it?
Yep.
That's a weird name for it. A Tourer. It's a wagon. It's an ID.7 electric wagon. They claim it's the first electric wagon. I think so. I mean, I want to call like the Taycan Cross Turismo like kind of.
I was just gonna say that it's the same company. Like, the people at the desk, like down the aisle, they're making.
I don't know. Maybe like people like
they call something shooting
like the German,
brakes.
they are really, they're really specific about their car types and everything they call.
Right.
Here we basically have sedans and SUVs and pickups. That's it. And then sometimes we call things crossover, but we don't even know what that means. So pretty good looking car. Okay, look at this. Oh, the gallery changed. Okay, boom. I mean, if you're familiar with the ID4, obviously the front end is going to be nothing too surprising, but that nice little wagon profile, not for everyone, but very popular in Europe, and very efficient too. You have to admit that. It's getting a range of up to 685 kilometers on the WLTP. That's 426 miles. So obviously WLTP is not as strict as EPA, but still I wouldn't be surprised if you easily get over 360 miles of range off of that thing.
Yeah, it's solid.
Yeah, 200 kilowatt charging, 10 to 80% in 30 minutes. Just
solid.
in Europe, I would assume. Pre-orders expected in Q1 2024 in Europe. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if this is coming to the US, sadly.
Maybe give it a shot. Like,
Sure.
try it out. ID.4, ID.3, ID.7 Tourer. Maybe just a little test run in the US would be fun.
Yeah, we're still waiting for the bus to finally, the Buzz.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Almost forgot about that one. All right, BYD. I mean, the Chinese are coming. That's why I'm saying, like, the legacy automakers that are backtracking, like, you're giving the Chinese, all they're doing is waiting for an opportunity. Like they have all these things being thrown in their wheels, all these sticks being thrown in their wheels with those protectionist approach in North America and in Europe too. But at one point, if you guys are not delivering, you're gonna have to turn people are gonna have to turn to the Chinese to satisfy the demand for BEVs, and they aren't going to be ready for it. So this is the new Dolphin EV from BYD, and it starts out at less than 100,000 yen, which is the equivalent of $14,000 US.
Crazy.
And it's a pretty decent car. Now, it's a small car, but it's a 4-door with a hatchback and a small battery pack. But because it's so small and so light, you still get some decent range out of it. Okay, this is the Chinese LTC range, to be honest. So maybe slash a 10 to 20% off of that. But still, so it's the base one has a 32 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is very small. I mean, we're getting back to the old days of the Leaf, basically. But they still claim 187 miles, 300 kilometers on this. So I would assume 150 is like achievable because it is smaller than the Leaf, too. It has these tiny little wheels, but it's pretty nice city car. Now, if you upgrade to the 45 kilowatt hour battery pack, it's $16,000. It's not that much more expensive, and that gets you to 261 miles of range, 420 kilometers, probably more realistically just over 200 miles of range, which is pretty good. Then you have the fashion and night version, which I assume have like different packages, but they have the same powertrain. So what else do we have? The charging capacity on this thing. Oh yeah, the dimension are just slightly smaller than the ID.3. So just to give you an idea.
I feel like Mike is gonna import a couple of these on a container one of these days. He's just gonna have like a yard full of Chinese, $14,000 Chinese cars.
I mean, BYD might be in Israel too. Might be instead of.
They're definitely in Israel for sure.
Yeah. We should have Micah maybe do a few review of these cars.
Yeah.
All right. That's it's for the news today. We're gonna jump into you guys' comment section.
All right. Let's go right to the big question. Any new info on Musk's desired compensation plan?
So yeah, the ruling. I think Musk's team confirmed that they plan an appeal. So the decision of the judge has been put on hold. So there's been a lot of misinformation on that over the last 2 weeks because like all the biggest shareholders in Tesla had to report their ownership in Tesla. And so Elon reported his ownership and people say, hey, his ownership has increased. It's now 20 point something percent. But that's not accurate. It's still 30. Whoop, did we lose Seth? Oh, not sure what happened. I hope I'm still on right now. But all right, we'll see what happened with Seth. Oh, he's back. Okay.
That's weird.
All
my
good?
browser crashed.
Okay. I thought it was me for a second because I was seeing my like connection on the studio like going up and down for some reason, but I haven't been cutting off enough. I'll show it.
No, so far so good. Yep.
Okay. All right. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah. He still owns 13 point something percent of the company in stocks in his broker's account, but he still have another extra like almost 8% of shares that needs to be exercised from that are coming up to be exercised in the future from his compensation plan that has been rescinded by the judge. Now, that has been put on hold. So technically, right now, it has access to 20%. Even then, the 20% is not correct because obviously would have to sell of some of these shares once exercising just to pay the taxes on them. Unless he's like sitting on a few $1 billion that we don't know about. Which I doubt because Twitter. But so a lot of people misreported this as like 20% ownership. But now because the Musk team has told Delaware that they're going to appeal to the decision, this has been put on hold. So the deal is not rescinded just yet, and the other parties have agreed to that. Now, the weird thing, though, is that at the same time, Tesla is trying to move incorporation from Delaware to Texas. So Elon has already done that for SpaceX. And I'm sure he's trying to do it for Twitter, though I don't even know where Twitter is based right now. But yeah, so right now that's where we are. There's going to be an appeal and potentially a move to Texas that could change things up.
All right, let's move on. Jean-Michel Boulanger with Model Y made in China 2023. Initially, the car indicated distances in centimeters when parking the car. After an OTA update, no more centimeters display on the screen. Will it be back? I mean, I get inches on my display, so.
Yeah, I assume Jean-Michel is from Quebec or France, and he's using centimeters, so he wants centimeter back. So it switched to inches with the OTA update, but I would assume in the car you should be able to set it to centimeters, because in the car you can switch between metric and imperial system. So
is it no more centimeters or no more anything? Maybe he's saying there's no more like distance.
Yeah, that might be.
I don't know.
That's weird.
Have to look into that one. My guess is that the take rate is very bad, so we're talking about why Tesla doesn't do numbers, and they want to protect their stock price. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the take rate is bad when you compare it to the 2 million people that reserved it. They reserved it with $100 refundable fee, so it's not a big show of interest. Then you have also the fact that the Cybertruck changed a lot in terms of pricing. It's much more expensive since it was unveiled, and it's not as good too. Let's be honest, like in terms of capacity, like all the way down to the towing capacity, to the payload capacity is down, and obviously the range situation without the range extender is also not ideal. So yeah, I'm sure the take rate is not that good, but they don't have problems selling it right now. I don't think so. Like it would be ridiculous.
All right, Mike the Car Geek says Yang Wang BYD U8 SUV has emergency float capability, but it requires the owner to bring their EV for inspection after a water event. Assume you avoid the warranty if you do not.
Yeah, so well, that's interesting. At least you have an option. Like if you bring it right away, then you're cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they do, if they just like put it in rice or what, you know, like how that helps, but sure. We're talking about have we seen Cybertrucks in the wild? Rich Tier says a Cybertruck with California plates was spotted in the wild in Kelowna and Vernon, British Columbia a few weeks ago. I mean, California plates, it just means somebody's going on a road trip.
Yeah, it's not that far.
Carl in San Diego reading Volt Rush right now, and they make the point that automakers assume increasing orders for parts traditionally results in lower per unit cost, but EV battery material mining increased orders results in higher unit per cost. This shows Rivian can't fix bleeding with cheaper car at high volume unless they build a Dacia Spring with a 25 kilowatt hour battery. All right.
I'm not sure I'm exactly following.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to say you can't really always increase profitability by making more of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's a limit to the economies of scales for sure, but yeah, you can make a cheaper vehicle than the R1S and R1T.
Yeah, for sure. All right, David Pearn says Electrek needs to check out Australasia and the BYD range, quality and value. Tesla shouldn't have to worry, but they should. It's probably too late now in any case.
So should they worry or should they not? I mean, I'm sure that the quality of Tesla vehicles is a little bit higher at this point still, but BYD, you just have to look at the improvement rate. Like just a few years ago, it was nothing compared to where they are now. So they're definitely taking the hint. And if they still have room to improve, they could improve. Like.
Elon was on Bloomberg laughing, like
Yeah.
giddy, laughing at the quality of BYD, and now, they're outselling.
Now he's
Tesla.
buying billions of dollars worth of batteries from them.
Right. From Facebook, Jake Riddle says, do you see megawatt DC fast charging wireless power transfer equipment becoming common charging practice anytime soon? That's a lot of stuff there. Fast wireless megawatt. I don't know.
Megawatt is possible, but I don't know of any in the megawatt level in wireless right now. But I know it's being worked on. I know, like for buses and trucks, it's being worked on. I'm sure there's some use case for it that makes sense, and it's gonna happen in the future. I don't think it's gonna cover any significant part of the charging infrastructure though long term. I think it's gonna be like more of a niche product that's gonna be higher end. But yeah, I think it could work.
All right. Are y'all seeing any signs of consumer anti-EV bias being reduced? No one in my family even considered an EV after I showed them how awesome my 2019 Model 3 was.
Wow, really? That's I don't know. Where are you from, KC5GTS? Because I mean, if you show them your car like that, I've showed my car to some people that were pretty staunch, like anti-EV people, and at very least, like I opened for them the possibility that okay, maybe this EVs things is not just a fad. Maybe not like they're gonna buy one, but normally that's the way to go. Like I was gonna say, like you're not working hard enough on them, but you did show them your car. Did you let them drive it? Maybe that's what you need to do next.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how anybody buys an ice car after driving a Tesla Model 3, for instance, or a Porsche Taycan or any number of EVs. Moving on, let's see, cobalt. We're still talking about that a lot. Cobalt is used to refine oil into gas and diesel. I think I saw a video about this once.
Yeah, that's right. I think Rich is right.
Yeah, it's funny how the anti-EV puppets don't mention that fact. Yeah.
I don't know how the split is right now in the market, though. I would assume that now batteries use more cobalt than the gas industry, but still a good point. It's an assumption. Don't quote me on that.
All right, this is important. Electric is becoming irrelevant by domestic parochialism. China
Do you know what that
sweeping...
means? Because I don't.
I think I do. I don't know. Anyway, China is sweeping across the international markets. All right.
Okay,
well, I mean, we're acknowledging that. Like, China's vehicles are definitely getting better. They're selling a ton more of them, and they're. I mean, we've said for years, like China's vehicles are 80-90% as good as German, Japanese, domestic vehicles, and they're like half the price. So a lot of people are going to be fine with 80 to 90% of the vehicle at half the price, and that's what you get for China.
Yeah, I mean, his point is that it's a limited and narrow outlook, especially focused on one local area. So we are for sure focused on the North American market. He's right about that. And there's not much Chinese EVs in the North American market right now. There's some. And look, we like Seth said, we are very aware of it, and we actually are taking steps to address that. Like I would like to go to China this year to check out some of the EVs. I'm looking into that. So there's that to start with. I know it's not Chinese right now, but it's Asian. I'm going to be testing out the VinFast soon because my parents are getting one. So that's also, we are open to that. So yeah, I think we're very open to it. I understand your point, but I don't think we are irrelevant.
I am very interested.
Sylvain's getting an island.
Yeah. I'm just to back up a little bit. I'm very interested to see the experience that your parents have with the VinFast, because I've heard some good things and some bad things, and I want to see, firsthand. We did get to drive a VinFast around LA a couple years ago, so yeah, those first seemed fine. So they
improved a lot. That's what my dad keeps telling me. They improved a lot over the last few years. They listen to customers a lot. They improved. And they give a very good warranty too, like a bumper-to-bumper guarantee for 10 years, I think, which is insane.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, the company needs to still be around in 10 years, so that's my main concern. But yeah, so I'm approaching it with an open mind because my dad does a lot of research. To be fair, but that when he buys something is not like on the whim. So he did his research. We'll see. But yes, Sylvain, that's cool. Congrats on the Model 3 Island. I might have to go check it out.
I was gonna say you can head over there and wait. He got the
not
Highland.
too far from me.
Yeah, not too bad.
Maybe we could do a comparison with my 2018 Model 3.
That would be cool. All right, BYD Seal is a compelling car for US to compete with Model 3. I don't know if that's coming. You know, it's weird. They have like a BYD dealership in Los Angeles near the where the auto show is, and they sell like buses,
trucks,
and stuff.
right?
Yeah, trucks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. All right, let's see what's moving on. All right, here's a good one. Mike the Car Geek asks, what Tesla events do you expect this year? Investors, deliveries, other?
You remember Elon said that as soon as Tesla posts their 10K SEC filings for the year, he's going to do all in on desk meeting and publish it on X. It's been 2 weeks, I think, since they released the 10K, and they haven't. So we're expecting that in the future. But I know Tesla is like Elon, like 6th priority right now, after X and Neuralink and XAI and SpaceX and all that. So I'm not super. I'm not holding my breath until that happens. But yeah, what else? Another AI day, I would assume. An AI day would make sense. Tesla is a AI company. Maybe you can steal some of XAI's engineers to do the AI day at Tesla. That would be ironic. What else? Deliveries of what? I don't know.
They should have a Powerwall 3, like just a little event. That would be kind of cool.
I mean, it's already been installed for months and officially open orders last week.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Yeah, do we have anything else?
Cybertruck in Canada Auto Show, and ID doesn't seem to be a big fan of it. The Cybertruck reminds me of that. I don't know if you've seen the Seinfeld episode where he's dating this girl that looks really cute in one light, and then in the dark or something, she looks really ugly. And it reminds me of the Cybertruck, because sometimes I'm like, oh, that looks pretty good, and then other times I'm like, that is just a monstrosity.
I mean, it's a very polarizing truck too. So it's like some people love it, some people hate it. Oh, we still lost his head again. All right. Is the Tesla Semi still a thing? Yes, but it's a very low volume production thing because the expansion of Gigafactory Nevada. Did you close your browser again?
It did. It crashed. I don't know what's
going on. It crashed again?
Yeah.
So yeah, for the Tesla Semi to ramp up production, they need that expansion of Gigafactory Nevada, and they just had a breaking ground ceremony like last month on it. It's been delayed by like a year, so yeah, it's still a thing. It's just way behind production. It's gonna happen. OKC's in Pennsylvania, yes. So yeah, Pennsylvania.
Right.
Oh, is Aptera doing? I saw they closed the accelerator program. Well, they closed it because they completed it. Like they achieved their goal with it, and it's still open. Like within the people that are already in it, you can still like compete to get a faster delivery. Like people that invest the most money gets a faster delivery. So yeah, I mean, I to full disclosure, I did put some money in Aptera. It's more like of a show of faith. Like I really like their product. I really like the idea behind their product, I should say, because I've never actually tested it. But I'm in the EV space because of efficiency. I love a super efficient vehicle, and I love that what they're doing. It's that, like, it's just ultra efficiency, and when you have ultra efficiency, then solar on the car starts to make sense too. So that's fun at the same time. No, I don't think we call it a solar electric car, but it's very much like there's an efficiency beast so much that you can put some solar on it. So I like this idea. And I hope that the car gets to market because I think it could be really cool. But it looks like they still need like a little boost, a few $1 million to get across the finish line, it sounds like. And then finally, we have Carl in San Diego. Thanks, Carl, for listening to the show. I know he's always there. What are you really asking is that will Elon do to distract? What you are really asking is what will Elon do to distract everyone? I'm not sure I understand the context of that.
I think he's talking about the event. Like, are they gonna have?
Oh, okay. What Smoke Show, what the little magic trick is gonna do, the
Right.
slide event trick. Yeah. Yeah. I would, before Tesla event, I would like just give us data on the FSD program. That's really what's missing from Tesla to gain some credibility right now. Maybe because the data don't look good and wouldn't help the credibility. That's a possibility too. But I would like Tesla to be less opaque on that before they do any again big like demonstration of full self-driving in an event or something like that. Anyway, that's it for us this week. Thanks everyone for listening to the show. We've been going for an hour. If you've been listening to us for an hour, you're a true electric vehicle nut like us, and we appreciate you for it. If you do enjoy the show, if you can give us a like and a subscribe, free to do. Takes a second. It helps the show more than you think. We appreciate when you do it. If you're listening on your podcast app right now, if you can give us a 5-star review, only if you enjoyed the show, of course. We appreciate that too. Helps the show. Takes a second. And we're going to see you same time, same place.